Mm-hmm.
Hey everybody, it's Neil with the Dashly Gentleman. And with me, I have Frank. Say hi, Frank.
What is going on?
And tonight, we're going to talk about how gaming was before the internet and how gaming is now after the internet. Thanks, internet.
Thanks, internet. You ruined everything.
So, okay, before the internet, we had things like, I mean, we still have them, but nobody does them anymore. Arcades and LAN parties. Let's talk a little bit about arcades, Frank. Did you ever peruse around the arcades with all the other bros?
Well, I mean, I don't know about bros. There were no bros whenever I was at the arcade, but yeah, I definitely hung out at some arcades.
Yeah. What was your game of choice at the arcades?
I didn't have one.
Yeah.
I wasn't good at any of them. I just played whatever was there. I mean, I remember the one game I actually beat at the arcade was the X-Men side-scrolling Turtles Through Time. Yeah, the 4-player one, the Turtles Through Time too.
Oh yeah, that was also a 4-player.
Yeah, I mean, I love those, like the Double Dragon style fucking fighting games. Oh, just so good, yeah, so good.
And then you got that The Simpsons.
I hated that fucking game, but I also don't like The Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, I think that like the subject material means a lot. I mean, X-Men I love the most, obviously, because I like the X-Men more than everything else. Turtles Through Time was a better game, looked better, functioned better, etc. The Simpsons, I couldn't wait to stop playing it. So I got seeing everybody be crowding around it, and I just like,
okay.
If I had nothing else to do, then I would play it.
Yeah, all right. I was big on fighting games. Shocker, I know. I think I probably ended up dropping out of college because of Street Fighter 3.
Dummy.
I mean, there were other reasons, but I did spend a lot of my time in the school arcade. That we had Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We had Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, which is the superior one, by the way. And I think we had Virtua Tennis.
Oh, there you go.
And I don't know why, but that one was always popular. There's always the one dude from like Kenya that always played it.
Oh, that's weird.
He would just pour quarters into that shit.
Huh.
No, did you ever run into like arcade rivalry?
I'm gonna go with yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Tell me how it went down.
That guy tried to stab me in an arcade. Does that count as rivalry?
I mean,
does attempted murder classify as a rivalry?
Was there an attempted stabbing that just so happened to be in an arcade, or did you beat somebody so bad at an arcade game that they wanted to stab you?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
The latter. I mean, we were playing. Look, and I know, and it's funny. I know that people are going to be like, "You deserved it." So I was losing, but we had bet money on it. So
yeah.
I'll bet all bets being equal, I wanted the money. So we were playing Mortal Kombat, and he got in close, and I started to endless sweep him.
You're one of those people.
Dude, I won. I won, and he completely lost his mind. He tried to knife me. So, I mean, that was.
I mean,
like a fistful of quarters, dude.
By any means necessary, you got to win the bet. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel like there should be a limit, because I was just like, "Hey, I won," and then and I was like, "Oh fuck."
what did you win? A free stabbing.
Oh my god, homie's got a piece.
Oh man, I had something like that happen. It wasn't in an arcade, but it was on a Street Fighter 2 machine at a burger joint down the street from our house when we were living in LA. And back then I was like 6 or 7. I could barely reach up and fucking hit the buttons. And it was me and my brother and this one other dude with really long hair. And my brother was just whooping his ass. And he eventually got tired of, beating him at Street Fighter. He's like, you know what, I'll let my little brother play. He's only played this game like twice. And I did the whole thing where I picked Guile, and I would jump over to him and backbreak him. Jump over, suplex. Jump over, suplex. Like, apparently it's cheap if you jump at somebody and then immediately throw them or something. So I beat the shit out of him. And he's like, dude, your little brother's a cheater. He's like, say about my little brother? Yeah. And then something like, I can't remember what was said, but eventually the words "your mom" was uttered.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, we all got thrown out of the burger joint after that.
You ain't lived life until you've been thrown out of the burger joint.
For video game.
Yeah, for a yo mama joke.
See, I think because of the internet, which is the great concealer now. I mean, back in those days, you had to back up what you said.
Yeah, I mean, you talk, as they say, talk shit, get hit.
Yeah, because you're right there.
Yeah, I mean, like, say it to my face, asshole. And then, I mean, like, you had to be like, because there's always the guy in the arcades who'd be like, if you're playing and if you're like doing good and people are watching, there's always some dude like way in the back, be like, this guy fucking sucks. Was that?
Who said that? Where is he?
Why don't you come here and say it to my fucking face? And then he goes, this guy fucking sucks.
We're about to have Street Fighter in real life.
Yeah, I'm like, pick your character. Pow! Yeah, but I mean, like the internet has made it so that you can say whatever you want to at any point, with no fear of reprisal, which is great.
Yeah,
I mean, like, because because I get to the point where whenever people are watching me play a game online and they say something nasty, it doesn't even faze me. Like, I don't even, but I love the people who say shit, but they're witty and they're funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is awesome. You're a funny fucking guy. I don't even care if it's being mean to me. I mean, like, because I find, self-deprecating humor to be quite comical.
Sure.
But if they say something and it's just nasty, like, but like, oh my god, you're such a faggot, just the way that they say online. I'm like, and that's it. That's all I get. I mean, like, I glance over, read it, and I just keep playing because it doesn't mean anything. It's just like, it's the yo mama jokes from back in the day. Yo mama. Meh.
It is, and to me it
Nothing.
equates to like prank phone calls, except for it's a lot easier. Like, did you ever get pranked on the phone? Prank?
Mm-hmm. No, actually, I mean, when I worked at Domino's, yes.
So like, here's these fucking kids. They're like, "Hey, is your refrigerator running?" or some other stupid shit, and it's like, come on, guys, you gotta be a little more creative than that. I mean, I would welcome it if it were clever, just like you.
Right.
But this is the internet. It's like, all right, what are you going to do on Friday night? Well, I'm going to go on the internet. I'm going to visit some people's streams, and I'm going to say mean things. Hold on. Block off the rest of my schedule for the night. This is going to be a rough night.
I remember one of my favorite things, we had a kid call and do the, is your refrigerator running?
Yeah.
Whenever I was working at Domino's, and I laughed. I did. I genuinely laughed. And, you could tell that he was uncomfortable because he wasn't expecting that kind of response. And I was like, I don't know, but if you want, you can come from, and I read the kid's address up because we have caller ID. And I'm like, from here, and you can come help me try to find it. Click. I'm like, yeah, no, I know exactly who the fuck you are. I know what your parents' names are because they've ordered before, you stupid asshole. Probably shouldn't call from the house phone.
Probably peed his pants.
Yeah. Look, I believe strongly in the power of technology. And caller ID, it's your friend whenever you're working food service.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
Just saying.
Super creepy. Yeah, I eventually got so good at Street Fighter, at least in that little circle in that college, that did you ever see like a big old line of people lining up on player 2 and then just one guy on player 1 just going through them left and right?
Mm-hmm.
See, I always ran into the people that were like, okay, either they'll respect you, they say, yeah, you're really good at this game, or you get the one kid that
the sun was in my eyes.
Yeah, he'll do this. He beats you and he rubs it in your face, or he loses and he tells you you have no life.
Oh yeah, there's no middle ground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, I'm better than you at this game. Dude, you gotta get a life. You play this game way too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's almost nobody, like, very infrequently would you ever beat somebody at a game and they're like, you're very skilled at this. You know, I mean, it's taken you a lot of time and to learn the nuances of the game. Like, thank you. I appreciate that. It's almost never that. I get that every once in a while in Heroes. Every once in a while. And it's a great feeling. But I mean, then, you know, more often than not, it's people just like being like, you know, I bet you've never seen a vagina in your life.
Yep.
You gotta see the sun. I'm like, dude, I'm not even that good at this game.
That tells you how bad you are, you know? I mean, and that's the thing, is like, it was the exact opposite in the arcades. And I do miss that, because I miss... every once in a while, you get the one person that makes it really awkward who wants to talk shit. But 9 times out of 10, hey man, good game. Fist bump, boom.
Yeah,
because
I mean, I think it's because they're right there.
Yeah,
and I think if you take a lot of kids nowadays, oh, this makes me sound so old. If you take a lot of kids nowadays and you put them like in an arcade setting and you actually make them sit next to the person that they're playing, you would probably find them doing something very similar to that, or just sitting there in abject silence, just like they lose and just because they have no way to express it that's constructive or positive or any way other than to try to flame the other person, but like they're not behind the comfort of a keyboard,
right,
in their home, in their safety net. The person that they would like to flame is like less than 5 feet away, and probably is a super nice person, and they don't know how to deal with that. Like this, like, I mean, because you wouldn't go to a grocery store and just, you know, some lady's picking out produce and then just be like, you know, those pants make you look ridiculously fucking fat. Just at random, just watching her do shit. Just like, if you just stand behind her and follow her to the grocery store and just make nasty comments about everything she does, you wouldn't do that.
No, because eventually you're gonna pop in the mouth.
I mean, she's gonna turn around and she might fucking kill you. I mean, you're gonna be the dumbass that follows her to the wine section and then she busts one of those fucking bottles bottom first on top of your skull.
Yeah.
Boop. I mean, and you're just gonna be out forever. And because you don't see that in life. I mean, so I don't think these kids would be able to do that. I don't think they'd be able to be like in an arcade setting, and I think they would just stand in the corner and just, you know, the people I want to talk shit about are everywhere, and they're all being nice to each other. I don't know what to do.
Guess I'll just shut up.
I guess I'll just shut my fucking mouth. Just like they've always said.
Oh yeah, man, I miss arcades. I really want to bring them back, but I don't think it's gonna happen because people have to leave the house.
They have the giant arcade in Vegas. I liked going there until I realized how expensive it was, and then I no longer had it. And they follow into the same group as most of the casinos, because at one point the casinos and arcades in general, back before everything was all LAN and whatever, they were very up to date on all their stuff, and they had the latest games. They're all updated and they're all clean. The places were fantastic. They had all the lights, and it felt like a gambling experience, or for the casino, but for kids, where you're just having something that's fun to do. Now you go in there and it looks like a fucking drug den. Like there's like garbage all over the floor. The lights 30% work, you know, and the arcades are all carved up, people's initials. They're the same fucking cabinets that they had 15 years ago. I mean, they have done nothing with them. There's no updates. There's no new titles. They haven't tried to keep up with them at all. So I mean, like, you end up with a very confined space, probably less games than they had before, that are the same that they had before with poorer quality because they're not being maintained, and it's disappointing. And the big arcade on the Strip was like you had to pay, you had like a cover charge to get in. So at first I was like, oh, cool. So I pay the charge and then I get in and then I get to play the video games. Like I just assumed that like I paid you $15, then therefore like the rest of the games are gonna be free. Just like you run them, you get like a little wristband, you run them up. It's not. It's not. You pay $15 just to get the fuck in, and then you have to pay to play the fucking games. That was just like, I feel like now looking back on it, I'm like, I feel like this was a testing ground for Ubisoft and EA to be for like their DLC content releases. They're like, people will fucking pay for this. They'll pay through the, because it was because like, when you go to like the Lux store and you play House of the Dead, it's like 25 cents. You know, like 25 cents, you go and you play, and it was fun. And then you get your ass whipped because you're 7 and you suck, and the gun's heavy. And then you pay down $25, and then you just keep going until you're out of money. Whatever, fine. But then you go into the big multi-level arcade on the Strip that's not even like 200 yards away, and it was $2 per life. Yeah, I mean, it was so incredibly expensive. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm out of money. I managed to play for 10 minutes. I'm out of money. I want to go get something to eat. So you go to the little arcade, you know, like your parents only gave you like $20 or whatever, because $20 at a fucking arcade back then should have literally lasted you 2 days. Yeah. But then you run out of money playing that, and you want to get something to eat. They have pizza up here. You go there, and like a slice of pizza was like $10 fucking. And it was shitty Aramark pizza. Yeah. It was insane to me how pricey this place was, how poor the quality was of each individual game. Again, it was dirty. The lights mostly didn't work. And I'm like, what is happening? I feel like I'm still one of those people that I think that if you know, like the movie, if you build it, they will come. But you have to keep it relevant. You can't have games from fucking 20 years ago where, like, you know, if you go into an arcade and the first like big premiere title that they have is the original Street Fighter cabinet, just leave. Yeah. Because I mean, like they don't care. They don't give a shit, and it speaks volumes of that whenever you walk in and you're like, they have Contra. They have fucking Contra in a cabinet right there. I'm gone. Illegal. See you. Peace out. I mean, you obviously don't care, so I'm not going to give you my money. Right. And it to me, it seems that these people were taking all this money that they were getting and they weren't reinvesting it to make sure that their investment was long term and that they had the broader spectrum. Because like a lot of these people look at it and they say, oh, these kids will play anything as long as it's bright and colorful, and that's just not true. I mean, especially considering that the generation that they're trying to cater to are people that are, you know, years of my age. Right. Where now they have retro arcades. In Boise, they've got I don't remember what the fuck the name of it is, but it's an underground or a basement pub. Well, like it's a pub, and they've got all these old arcade cabinets. I love the idea. There's a reason why I don't play those fucking games anymore, because they are old and they're slow and they run like shit and they look like shit. And I know I am the worst in this group about if it doesn't mean like a certain graphical quality. I just don't care. And all of those games are like that. And I love the idea of an adult arcade where they actually gave a shit, because everything was clean, everything was nice. The cabinets were well maintained for their age, but they were still fucking really old. So I'm like, would it kill you to get like a DDR machine in here? Or anything. I mean, anything that's within the last 5 years would be considered a major update to any of these arcades. And you just don't see it. And it's disappointing.
I mean, those retro pubs, you see them popping up left and right. They had one like that in Tulsa called the Max. And you'd go there, and it was really cool. I mean, they had all the retro, like, tube TVs playing, like, the original Terminator and the original Star Trek and all that shit. Yeah, it's cool. And you would have every, you know, weekend, people would cosplay for the 80s. They would come in full fucking, you know, 80s attire to fit the theme. And that's cool also. But they would have a bunch of arcades there. Very poorly maintained arcades from the early 90s, late 80s. Most of the fucking joysticks didn't work anymore. And, like, I mean, they were free to play. Most of them were free to play. That's cool, but...
Well, I mean, at least there's that, I guess.
They're fucking just taking up space because they're broken. Like,
yeah,
fix the things.
I mean, all they are at that point is they're side dressing.
Yeah.
For everybody to fraternize in the center and go, oh, look at me, I dress like from the 80s, you know, aren't I so cool? Now let's go back and you can Chinese finger trap me with your 2 frat boys. And it's disappointing because there is so much that you could gain both monetarily and if you were actually interested in the culture, you could actually perpetuate the idea that it's not over, it's not dead, because it's very much alive, but for some reason people don't want to invest in the idea of updating. And because I mean, like, I know that it's not necessarily a great example, but like in Japan, arcades are fucking enormous there.
Yeah.
And they've got them everywhere. And I look at, you know, pictures and images of arcades in Japan. I mean, even if the games are kind of like outdated because they still have like SNK and shit like that, I'm like, but they're clean, they're brightly lit, they're well maintained. You know, there's a huge influx of people that are in there and they're all playing. And I'm like, there's no reason why we can't have the same thing in America.
Right.
With the amount of competition and everything else that you could bring in, local competition to have people playing together, there's no reason in the world why we couldn't be having the same thing, except that people just don't want to update. They don't want to, you know, keep things interesting. And they want to, for some reason, the quality of establishment is always so fucking low. And I mean, like, I'm going to use it as an example, but the Boise pub, it's a nice idea. It's a basement pub, but it's really small. It's dimly lit, and that's fine for, I guess, what it is. But I never really felt like they cared enough to really make it really clean, and it didn't feel modern. I know it's supposed to be retro, but retro doesn't have to mean that you've put in minimalist effort.
Right.
I mean, like a cabin in the woods is a cool retro rural idea, but it doesn't have to not have running water.
Sure.
So I mean, I don't know. I feel like the idea is great, the potential is there, but just everybody's like, in order for it to be retro, it has to be like in the 80s. But I mean, there's a reason why we're not in the 80s anymore. You know,
right.
we've moved on since then, and apparently, in order to be time period accurate, you have to think it sucks. And I don't know. I guess I'm not there with that.
I mean, I understand retro. There are some games out there back in the day that were really fun. I mean, I really did enjoy Pac-Man. I really did enjoy Galaga. I mean, solid games, but there should be a section. Yeah, put that stuff in the corner. Make sure it's well maintained, but put your main attractions up front. The actual, you know, recent shit. DDR machine, of course, and every single arcade I've ever been to with a DDR machine. For those who don't know what that is, it's a Dance Dance Revolution. It's always close to other loud games. And the thing that just gets me is that you have to be able to hear the song. I mean, you don't have to, but it really helps the whole Dance Dance Revolution experience. You have to hear the beats so you can, step to the beat. So it just drove me nuts because they would always put the Dance Dance Revolution machine right next to the whatever the fucking diagonal one was called, Step It Up or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, about the placement of those machines that because you're right, because they take a lot of the loud machines like the Guitar Hero types, even the drum games, they all put them in the same section, and that's ludicrous to me because think about the amount of money that you would be, I guess not really saving, but think about like the placement that would be great for other games. So then you take your DDR machine that the whole purpose of it is to have music, and you put it in a section where the games aren't super loud, but they're very intense focused, or they're slower. You say that like you put like your DDR machine like right on the outside of where like you have like your your Ghouls and Ghosts and your Pac-Man and your retro games.
Yeah.
That the music is either inaudible or not that great. So then you have DDR, 15 feet away. So then the entire time you've got basically a soundtrack that you're listening to, but somebody's playing it. So I mean, your soundtrack for this section is making you money right there. Yeah. And it's entertaining the people that are right here. Their mind is being stimulated beyond what they're just doing right in front of them. And then you take the other music machines and you put them in different places where the person who's playing it can hear it and the people around them can hear it. and they can appreciate the music. Because let's be real, it doesn't matter what kind of music you play in DDR; they're basically all the same fucking song, and almost nobody who hears it will never not tap their foot, because that's just the way that songs are designed. Same thing with all those other, like the Beat Agent games and the Guitar Hero games. I mean, Guitar Hero is all classic rock, so I mean, you can put that in the older section or whatever. But I mean, it's about placement, and so you can like make every facet of your arcade entertained beyond what they're doing, and it would make me crazy. Like you said, you walk in and you see the DDR machine is like nestled right up against another music machine. So then you have two fucking people playing basically opposing DDRs. So I mean, that's maddening. I don't know why you would ever do that, because it just seems to me like this, like if I'm playing My Fire Force Plus Maniac, which would be fucking hysterical, and the person next to me is playing some other song and the beats are off. I mean, I just. No, I can't. I don't understand what's happening.
Right. And you know what? Like, I've thought about this at great length, and I have so many ideas. I really want to open an arcade. And you know what? I wouldn't even be mad if it didn't, make me money. If it just broke even, I would be happy. Because that's one of the biggest problems with, people that own arcades, is that they think it's just kind of there, and it's just something that kids will throw money into, and all you have to do is make sure it's got power. And they don't realize what they've got. They don't ever fucking keep it maintained. They don't put it where it needs to be. They don't appeal to the right people. They think it's all, kids between the ages of 6 and 12 that are going to play these games. I don't know, man. I've got just so want to do this. I just know that it's probably going to be a bad investment. And
well, I mean, if you go in and think that you're going to make a bunch of money, you're going to be wrong.
Right.
I mean, that's just the reality. But that's also the nature of small business. I mean, like they say, like within 5 years, you should start to see some return on investment of what you've put in.
Right.
But I mean, that's 5 years that you have to be able to keep the doors open. So yes. I mean, you have to think about the area that you're putting in, the demographic that you're looking at. So like in an area where it's super hot for most of the year, or it's super cold for most of the year, that's not necessarily a great area to have it in, unless it's in a more downtown urban area, in which case you can have like a lot of foot traffic. Normally, you have to think about shit like parking, because I mean, like you need to be able to have parents being able to put their kids someplace. The thing about the retro gaming place that I dislike is that it's on a corner in downtown Boise. Now, the thing about it is that like we had to park like 2 blocks away in order to walk there. And so there's nobody fucking in there. There was like maybe 7 people, and it was fucking Friday. So I mean, there just wasn't enough people in there, because all the parking in the area was you had to parallel park everywhere you were, and that sucks.
Yeah,
that's a terrible placement for something like that. Especially considering that like the main area where they have like a lot of the restaurants and bars and shit was further away. So it wasn't even like you wouldn't get somebody wandering in from random foot traffic and being like, what's this? We happened to be in the area because we were checking out the Capitol building. So like we saw it, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. We should go check that out at some point. And that's the only reason why I ended up finding it. I didn't even Google it or anything, because I mean, I never would have thought to.
Right.
I think that one of the things that I would love to see in an arcade, which I mean, we're seeing a resurgence of people making retro style games. Mm-hmm. And I think that it doesn't take that much if you have like a basic understanding of, I guess, electronics, to take a simple monitor and a simple keyboard joystick and load up a particular game. Let's say Volgar the Viking, because it's fucking hard and it's got the 16-bit graphics.
Right.
So then you load up Volgar the Viking, and then you have that in an arcade cabinet. It's an updated modern game that not many people have played, that is hard as shit, and it's just like Ghouls and Ghosts, and people could sink quarters into it. And I mean quarters, not like some of these fucks that put like 75 cents to $1 to play some old fucking game. 25 cents for a new game that most people have never even fucking heard of. And it looks good, it plays good, it's hard as shit, but it still looks good and plays good, and still appeals to that retro vibe. Yeah. And you can do the same thing with any of these other fucking platformers that are coming out that are new and they look good. I mean, you can get them on Steam for fucking like $10. So then you spend $10 to buy it. Let's just say like you contact the company. I want to pay you $500. so that I can have the license to put it in cabinets to make money off of at an arcade. And in doing so, I will advertise that this game is available on PC at this price from this developer. So then you take it, you put it in a cabinet, and you put it on display. You have all the display materials, and then people are sinking in quarters to keep playing this fucking game.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. So say like, Little Nightmares. You can easily play that. You can easily play Little Nightmares with a joystick and a one button, because it's just jump. I'm just jumping. Well, yeah. Sorry, 2 buttons, jumping and grab shit. So I mean, there are games out there that you could easily convert from a PC title that is supposed to be like the retro feel, and you can convert it into a box cabinet. Easy. And the fact that it isn't being done just shows that there is zero imagination of the people that are trying to make all these arcade cabinets. Because I bet you most of these fucks are like, I want to make an arcade. All I need to do is keep the lights on, and kids will just come in and throw handfuls of cash in there because they're idiots. And so I'm gonna go on eBay. I'm gonna buy 32 Street Fighter 2 cabinets that are in poor to medium condition, and I'm gonna have them sent here, and I'm gonna hook them up to the wall, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna be like in the back jerking off all the money I'm gonna make.
I'm like, that's not gonna happen. At the end of the day with a big sack.
Yeah, with I'll jump into the sack of my Scrooge McDuckian bank of all these quarters that these kids are just going to be throwing in there because they don't know any better.
Gonna have a big dollar sign on the out of it.
Yeah. Spoilers: the kids do fucking know better because their phones have games that look better than Street Fighter 2. Regardless of how good Street Fighter 2 was when it came out, that was when it came out. I mean, that's one thing that people in arcades don't get. Time has progressed. Things are better. And they don't want to be better. They don't want to keep up with it. It's just fucking frustrating because it's a great culture. And that's something that we don't have right now in America, where a bunch of kids can get together and they can have a common interest and they can fraternize with each other, work with each other, play with each other, and have a good community. But instead you get a bunch of little troll assholes that are online yelling at each other.
Yeah, that's
and
what we've become.
People fucking fighting and doing drugs. When I was a kid, and I got a bunch of money. I went to when I was young, I got a bunch of money to go down to the arcade. I didn't have money for drugs. Between magic cards and fucking playing at the arcade, I mean, I wouldn't have been able to afford a drug.
Right.
So, I mean, the best way to prevent your children from doing drugs is to make them poor.
Video games were my anti-drug.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, so one day, once you guys invest in us, we'll open an arcade. We'll call it the Dashley Gentleman Arcade. There you go, boom. It's gonna happen.
Boom. We'll sell, beer, and we'll have dancing women in cages in the corner.
And we'll have the Cantina song playing on repeat 24 hours a day.
That'll be the only song available on DDR. It's just the beat is faster.
Which difficulty do you want?
Yeah. Do you want Java no Bother, or do you want, I'm sliding into the Sarlacc.
So another thing that we did back before the internet. Well, I mean, the internet was still there, but it wasn't quite advanced enough. We're still talking like dial-up and shit. We weren't there to where, you can just pop on the internet any given time and play games. You had to make a plan of it and get people together. You couldn't just pop in to a lobby of random strangers. You had to call your friends up on your home phone and say, "Hey, why don't you get on Duke Nukem 3D tonight? We can telnet into each other." We had LAN parties. You ever go to any LAN parties, Frank?
I did.
Yeah. What'd you play?
Yeah. StarCraft.
Sounds about right.
Big StarCraft. I mean, really, when I did LAN parties, it was all StarCraft. StarCraft, and we played Half-Life and Counter. Well, we played Half-Life and Team Fortress. So
yeah, it's a good one. Before PC LAN parties, they had wasn't very popular. It was you could plug in 2 PlayStations together.
Never did that.
You use a little link cable, but I would play a whole lot of Command and Conquer. My brother
on PlayStation.
Yeah,
Bleh.
It was good. Retaliation, good stuff.
Bleh.
I think that was my favorite. My favorite.
Bleh.
But I think the game we played the most and party is Halo.
Yep.
Because it was just made for LAN parties. All it was, oh, you can have 16 players on 4 Xboxes. You better have a big house and a lot of friends.
I was bidden to leave a party because of Halo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never played it. So look, OG was there. He saved me. But no names though. We went to this party, and this gentleman and I were not friends, and he challenges me to play Halo. Yeah, I'll whoop your ass at Halo, and I said, yeah, probably. I've never played an Xbox before in my life. I'm like, he says I'll play a Halo. I'm like, what's a Halo?
Mm-hmm.
I'm don't know. Okay, fine, sure. So then we played, and we played for a while, and I had never touched an Xbox controller in my life. I didn't even know. I knew what an Xbox was, but I didn't own one. I didn't mess with it. So my first experience with it, let alone playing Halo. We played 1v1, and I beat him 151-3. And he literally became so enraged that he grabbed his Xbox and yanked it out of the wall. And I'm not even shitting you. He threw it out the fucking window.
I've heard this story before.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, did I win? I mean, because I can't not be a dick. Apparently,
yeah.
I mean, because I know that. I know because I was winning, and I knew I was winning. I'm winning, but I mean, like, I didn't have to do shit like zoom in on him with a sniper rifle and go, "Do you hear that? What? Pow!" and then drop him. I mean, like, I didn't have to, but I did, and so I know I exacerbated it. I'm older now. It's no less funny, but I mean, I definitely don't regret doing it at all.
Sure.
But no, that was my first time playing Halo, and I loved Halo. They put it on PC, and I think the time when they started putting military type shooters on PC and making it so that everyone could play online was the most amusing time for me, because you had Halo, which was very run and gun. You fire. I mean, there was no iron sights or whatever, and that's what we played a lot of. We played a lot of Halo, and then I played a lot of Command & Conquer Renegade, which was very much the same. And then Kyle and I, for a while, we were playing Soldier of Fortune, and we started playing it online, and it was so fucking funny because you could tell the dudes who were older than us and wanted to, and were being military professionals.
Sure.
Because there'd be like a corner, and I remember this so vividly. This dude was around the corner, and he was doing the coming around the corner. And meanwhile, I literally sprinted at him, jumped up over the shotgun, fired straight down, blew his head all the way all over his feet, and then just kept running. And like, I'd see him, like, he'd line up and he'd take a knee, and I'm like, what's this guy doing? He'd take a knee, he started taking shots, and I'm like, I'm literally just bunny hopping. And then I go to him, pop, 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 dead. And I just keep like the whole time. And I knew the man was going insane.
Yeah. Because
he was like 0 kills, and me and Kyle, I mean, it was the worst. You look at the score, it was like 0 kills, 28 deaths. And me and Kyle were just like laughing the whole time because we were just shredding this guy. He couldn't kill fucking anyone because he every time he would see somebody, he would stop completely and like, I'm taking the shot. I got him. And then people would just literally run by him and just gun him down. I mean, so like this time where the military shooter and then the run and gun Halo Quake thing were sort of like having this weird fucked up flipper baby. It was sad. I mean, like now you wouldn't be able to make a game. I mean, they are out there, I guess, but the run and gun games have definitely made like a downward trend, where if you jump in a game, you can't shoot, or your accuracy suffers incredibly, which is unfortunate because in a lot of ways, I think that made you so much faster of a player versus your battlefield where like you get into a fight and you immediately hit the dirt and then you proceed to just like almost have like ye old standoff with a whole bunch of other people, and you make a firing line, and whoever is the one that didn't get shot the most is the one who wins. And I miss where like there'd be like 6 people and firing those fucking rockets and lasers and shit, and they're all jumping all over the place, and it would just look ridiculous. I love that.
I think that's why I'm so shitty at Battlefield, is because that's what I live for. I mean, Halo through and through. That's what I was all about. I mean, even Call of Duty was a lot like that. Like
Call of Duty is a lot like that. I mean, Call of Duty is like the weird culmination of Halo and Battlefield, where it's like we want to be super for real, but like at the same time we acknowledge that we're not super for real. Yeah. So I mean, I'm like, but what are you aiming for then? Because you're kind of neither, and it's weird because they got this thing I hate about modern military shooters is not about necessarily who's better, it's about who shoots first.
Yep.
Did he notice me before I noticed him? If I noticed him first, he's going to die. If he noticed me first, I'm going to die. I mean, that's almost always how it is.
Right.
Because it takes you, like, you have a fully automatic weapon, but it only takes you 3 shots to kill anybody, regardless of where you shoot them.
Sure.
Versus like Quake or Halo, where like you have armor and health, and like like I blasted this asshole in the face 6 times with a shotgun, and he finally died because he'd been running around and grabbing all the fucking armor and the entire level, and I'm shooting him, and I'm like, he's still standing. I don't know why, but he's still up. Or fighting where like you have 2 assholes basically fighting with blunderbusses over the health pack.
Right.
So I mean, the fight could go 5 minutes because the health pack keeps responding, and then one dude gets it, and they just keep fighting, and it never stops.
See, I think that's why I've taken such a liking to Doom. I mean, I never played Doom 3, but this latest Doom, it's so good. Everything about it, the gameplay, the story, the graphics.
The graphics. Because Doom 3, or the newest Doom, I'll talk about Doom. It harkens way back to like Quake, and the way that it plays, and the way that you get health and everything, where it's very fast paced, it's very jumpy, and it doesn't try to pretend to be anything other than a ridiculous superhero romp through a sci-fi hellish universe.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what it should have been, because Doom 3 tried to walk this fine line between a Doom game, a military shooter, and a horror game. Yeah. And it didn't do any of those particularly well. I remember when the game first came out, and you could either have a gun out or you have a flashlight out. You couldn't do both. And I'm like, this asshole, because like you have a pistol with this hand and a flashlight with this hand. But I mean, like, never the two shall meet.
How am I supposed to do 2 things when I always have my hand on my dick?
Right. I mean, the game was so dark. Yeah. So I mean, like, you would have your flashlight and you see dudes, you're like, oh! And you put your flashlight down, and you pull out your gun, and it's pitch black.
Where'd you go?
Like, pop, and you miss completely, and you see the shot hit the wall, and you're like, fuck.
Dead.
So much for the element of surprise. Now I'm dead.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. There's that. LAN parties. I guess just back in the day, house parties in general. I used to call them nerd nights, where you
dude,
just get a bunch of people together and play video games just on a console. I mean, we did a whole lot of. I think my best, funniest moment. This is at Jared's house.
Oh no!
Street Fighter 4 had just come out. And one of his friends came in, not naming names. Jared had actually drawn a picture of this because it was going to be a comic, and then he kind of abandoned it, but funny nonetheless. I'm drunk off my ass. I had never played Street Fighter 4, but obviously, as I had said previously, Street Fighter 3 was my life for at least 2.5 years. So he comes in, and he's acting cocky. I'm almost like falling asleep drunk. He's like, "What's up, bitches? I brought Street Fighter 4. Who wants to go down?" I'm like, "I do."
Me.
I literally had the controller back behind my head. I was like, not even staring at the screen because I was so drunk. And I was like 12-0. He's like, "Dude, he's not even awake."
That's so funny.
Like, this game's fun. This is the first time I've played it.
I like this game.
But no, I mean moments like that. You just I live for moments like that, especially in gaming when somebody wants to talk all that shit, and you just kind of put them in their place. You don't have to. You don't have to do it like an asshole. You don't have to be like, "Hey, what's that? Is that a high score? Is that good?" No, you just.
But I mean, to be fair, that is fun though. To be fair, I mean, like if they're talking all that good shit, I mean that is fun.
It is, but I think the most fun I've ever had rubbing it in was by not rubbing it in. It was just like I'm half passed out and you can't even beat me. Like
I love having those moments, and then you just get up and be like, "Good game, dude. You know, well played." And like they know that it wasn't. I mean that it was a virtual hate crime, and they're like, "Yeah, good game," and try to hold back man tears.
And it's funny that kind of jumps onto a hey Scatman jumps onto another topic of. Especially in the arcades, and this also happened in one of the LAN house parties where, you know, you'll have, I think I've mentioned this before, and I'm not trying to sound chauvinistic, but every now and then you get a lady who has played a video game or two.
Oh my god. You're one of those guys?
No. Okay, look. I've had girls that I know for a fact are into me, and they'll say something like, "Hey man, I'll kick your ass in Mortal Kombat. Let's go try it out." And I'm like, kind of into me, but I'm going to destroy her in Mortal Kombat. So we go down to the arcade. All right, put your money where your mouth is. Oh damn, what is it? 10-0? You're not good at this game. Oh yeah, I guess I'm not. But we're having a good time, right? Like
you're like, yeah, I'm having fun. I'm whooping your ass.
Having fun. Do you need to borrow some quarters?
Yeah.
But this time it was like shortly after, you know, the ass fucking that was Street Fighter 4 at that party. The dude's wife is like, "You know what? I'd whoop your ass in Mario Kart." And I'm like, "What? Seriously?" She came back next week and did. It was the first time ever that a woman had said to me, "I'm going to beat your ass at a video game that you know very well and have played a whole lot." And fucking deliver.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad she did.
Me
one
too,
for women.
Actually.
One for women everywhere. Put that chauvinistic kneel in his place. Hashtag feminism.
But, you know, I mean, I'm not afraid to admit that it happened. I'm just a little sad.
You're a little sad.
I'm
glad that she rolled in and slapped that faux mustache right off your face.
All right, so let's move on to our last topic, which is. You want to talk about sports? You want to talk about?
No,
say it to my
dude,
face.
You're good. No, you're all right.
I just say it to my face, dude. Our last topic is life after the internet of gaming, and that's what we're talking about. Loot boxes. That's what we're doing. Frank, tell me about loot boxes.
That was a rough segue. That was like the segue that ended the segue guy.
Look, I mean, we could go on and on about how gaming has progressed and then sort of regressed after the internet, but let's just go to the end of where the end of gaming.
The end of gaming.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not necessarily wrong, but these loot boxes are becoming a pandemic. You know, I mean, they're like I don't dislike the idea of loot boxes. I guess. I mean, Blizzard kind of made it, unfortunately. What's the word I'm looking for? Made it apparent that people would pay a lot for loot boxes with Overwatch. Because, I mean, tons of people play Overwatch. And the thing about Overwatch is that you buy a loot box and it has a skin, maybe. And then, but Overwatch is loaded with so much superfluous shit. Yeah. And if you're the kind of fucking idiot that looks at me and says, "I really like the sprays," I know that you're fucking lying, because no one cares about the sprays or the stupid fucking icons that there's like 600,000 of.
Right.
And you know that's why they made them. They made the sprays and they made the icons specifically so that it would give them a bunch of shit to throw in these loot boxes, so you would always want to buy more. And you can get the loot boxes. For people who don't know, you can get the loot boxes in Overwatch by leveling. You level, but the higher level you get, the longer it takes to get to the next level. You get one loot box for leveling, and you get 4 or 5 items in it. And sometimes you have a chance. I think the stats from China were that every 13.5 loot boxes you get a legendary, which may or may not include a which may or may not include a legendary skin or legendary money, which fucking whoop-de-doo-dah. But the thing about Overwatch that sucks is that they release limited time or limited edition skins that you can only buy during a set time, and they make the coin value, so like the gold value, so fucking high that the only way that you can probably get it is by buying loot boxes.
Right.
So like, I mean, I wanted the Widowmaker skin that they came out with most recently, and the one for the Suns Out Guns Out, and I wanted it, but when I went to look at it, it costs 3,000 gold to get it. You know, you get on average for like, because you can only get gold through loot boxes.
Right.
So like I would get like five gold for a voice line I already had, or like 30 gold for a skin I already had. I'm like, there is no conceivable way for me to level enough for me to get this 3,000 gold. I would have to buy loot boxes within this time frame to be able to purchase the skin. I can't just be like, here's 30 cents. I want to buy that, or like, here's $4. I want to buy that skin. You can't do that in Overwatch. You have to get it through the loot boxes. And I know that it's purely cosmetic, but at the same time, that's a level of gambling that is unfortunate, because you're missing out on some of this limited time quality, this limited time stuff that you can get for the game for characters that you really like, that even if you play the game incessantly, even if you fucking buy loot boxes, you may not get. You might never get it. I mean, like, you might get all the legendary shit that you get might be for characters you don't give a flying fuck about. I mean, and that's what makes me crazy about it, because I'm like, I see the skin, I want the skin, I will give you $5 fucking for the skin. It's flat out. But you can't do that. At least on the flip side, they weren't doing it before, but that's how they were doing it in Heroes. It used to be like, you know, the skin was $10. The heroes being $10 and the skins being fucking $10 was insane in Heroes. Because I mean, League of Legends, isn't it like a couple of dollars, and it goes up and down in value?
Yeah.
Like they run sales and shit. I don't remember, because I didn't play League ever, but
I think League has also gone to that model though.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Very
But
much
so then but now in Heroes, it's, you get a loot box every time you level, but you can level individual characters, and then you can get a loot box that way.
Right.
They give you level a lot quicker, you get a lot more loot boxes, but there's also a lot more stuff because there's a lot more characters. So then you get voice line skins that have emotes, which is insane, because I don't know anyone gives a shit about emotes.
Right.
They've got the stupid fucking sprays. They got the stupid fucking icons. I mean, the shit that no one gives a damn about. But the thing that's nice, at least in Heroes, is that you can purchase gems.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about the gems. It's a lot like your free to play mobile titles, where, like, you know, you could buy 500 gems at a time, but it costs you 600 gems to do anything.
Right.
So then, like, you know, you have to buy 1,000 gems. You do one of one thing, and now you have 400 left over, and then you have to buy another 5 in order to do another of one thing.
Microsoft started that shit with their fucking Microsoft points.
Did they? I never did. I never used it, so I mean, I couldn't tell you. But I mean, I know that, like, I understand that, because, like, I did play a couple of, like, mobile titles, and I never paid for anything on a mobile title, because I'm one of those, like, at the time when I was working at Domino's, I played this game where it was all about building up, like, your armies and shit, and I always thought it was funny because, like, I made it myself unattackable, which I thought was an amusing thing for, like, the supposed war game, and I would build these fucking insanely huge armies because I was unable to be attacked. But the nice part about this particular model is that everybody was supposed to pay to make this shit happen faster.
Right.
But because I was awake for so long all the time, it fit my lifestyle perfectly, because I wake up in the morning, I'd start creating all these different armies, and then I would just check it again tomorrow. So I just kept building up and building up and building up, and pretty soon I had like a 2 million man army, which is fucking hysterical, because then at one point I was like, I'm not going to play this game anymore, and I just set them to attack everybody in the area, and I destroyed everyone. I lost half my army. I still had 1 million fucking people left. I'm like, I am Persia 2.0. Suck my dick, Sparta. So I leveled the entire countryside, and it was wonderful. And I quit playing the game, and I didn't care anymore.
Right.
But it's the same thing, because I noticed that whenever you're looking at, you could build X amount of guys, you could get it faster. It's going to cost you 600 coins, but they sell them in 500 coin installments.
Of course.
I'm like, of course you do, because fuck you.
Yeah.
And so now a lot of premium games are going with that loot box model, and that's insane to me, because this game, at least these free to play games, even Heroes, you can invest a bunch of money in Heroes, and you can that can be money well worth, because you're going to have it forever.
Right.
But the thing about Heroes is that it's still a free game. You can still get into Heroes and play it free to play.
Right.
But Overwatch, you pay $60 fucking to get the game.
Yes.
And then you have to pay loot boxes to continue to enjoy different things in the game. Now, I know everyone always, like, the big proponents and defenders of Overwatch. Well, I mean, you can get those just through progressing. I'm at 1 star 30. It takes me like fucking 60 games to get a level. Yeah. It takes forever. So, I mean, there is a point where if you want anything, you have to buy loot boxes. There's no other recourse. And I find that to be, for this particular kind of thing, to be an egregious business model.
It is.
And that being said, you can't at this point talk about loot boxes without talking about Shadow of War.
Right.
Now, I read an article by Patricia Hernandez on Kotaku where she basically says it's not as bad as it sounds. I mean, here's the thing. On principle, I despise the idea where you have like a single player game and then you can or have to buy all these loot boxes after spending the amount of money that you do, because you get $60 that buys you the game. And as anyone will tell you anymore, $60 doesn't mean shit anymore. Like you spend $60, you bought the game. But then, unlike any AAA game right now, EA, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers, you don't get the entire game. You spend $60 for the opportunity to play the first little bit, and then after that, you have to spend $15 here and $10 here and $10 here and $10 here, and then $110 fucking dollars later, now you've got the entire game. And then on top of it, you have to pay for fucking loot boxes. Now, there was a rumor going around that the game was going to be blocked behind loot boxes.
Right.
And that is not really true. The thing is that the final ending of the game requires that you do a certain amount of battling, and it's very grindy. But you don't have to buy these legendary orcs. It just makes it a lot easier to get through the end of the game if you do it. But most people are finding that naturally occurring orcs are just as good as a lot of the legendary ones, and they fit your purposes. So you get so say you buy like a legendary box, and this is the way she explained it, and I thought this was brilliant because this is absolutely true. The way that the Nemesis system works and the way that the orcs work in Shadow of Mordor and in Shadow of War is that they have weaknesses. And some orcs are going to be more susceptible to one thing versus another. So she found that when she bought the loot box and she got a legendary orc, the legendary orc was great in every way, but he was afraid of curse damage. So then if he was a commander, a war chief of a little castle in the progression towards the end of the game, and he was attacked by another war chief that did curse damage, the guy's useless.
Right.
Because he's terrified the entire time. So then you've effectively not really helped yourself in any way just by paying for more money, or just by paying more money to progress in the game. Because it still depends on your development of that particular orc, of that particular character, and then the placement and usage of that one. You didn't just get a legendary and throw him in the field and then he won. Right. So I'm like, okay, I get that. I mean, I can agree with that. But the other thing is, so then you buy loot boxes, and then you get useless shit. It's just like with Overwatch.
Right.
You get items you don't care about. You get orcs that aren't that great. So what's the point? The only thing that isn't being talked about. No, it's bad that loot boxes are in it at all. I mean, I will say that to the day that I die. It's bad that loot boxes are in this fucking game at all. But she says that in the progress of the game, they give you a ton of gold and they give you a ton of orcs and loot boxes through the progression of the game. So you get a bunch of them just playing it naturally, and that includes the legendary works and shit like that. They're just like the ones that you would have paid for, and you get a bunch of them. She said that she got so many of them that she just stopped opening them because she just didn't care, because she had her naturally occurring works that she had gotten and then put to the field were superior because she had handpicked them and groomed them and then brought them up. So I'm like, well, that's good. I mean, I appreciate that the game isn't being broken by this particular business model, but it's still there. You're still doing loot boxes. You're still paying $110 fucking for this game, and then you're throwing more money at it, or have the potential to throw more money at it. And people who have like a gambling complex, they're gonna not be able to do anything other than that.
Right.
If the game is supposed to be super grindy to get to the final level, you know, I don't have the kind of time, because she's like 60 hours in, and she's, you know, only 72% of the way to the end of the game. And I'm like, holy shit, you know, I don't have that kind of time.
Right.
So I mean, like somebody like me, I mean, like not that I will, but I mean, I can understand somebody has more money than time. Be like, I want to see the end of this game, and so they're all dump some more money into it. So me personally, I don't care if I see the end of it, because it doesn't mean anything. I mean, like it's so far out of canon, I don't give a shit. But the principle that it's still there is awful.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I hear you. You know what I just realized, and I'm probably slow to the realization, but so basically what they did with loot boxes, and you're right, it taps into the gambling addiction of everyone, because gambling feels good. It's basically just a slot machine.
It is.
In the game.
It's completely random.
It's a slot machine that you play with fake money that you have to buy with real money.
Mm-hmm.
And you 9 times out of 10 get garbage.
Yep, absolutely nothing.
That's what loot boxes are. And to be quite honest, they need to fucking go away. In fact, I know they're starting to crack down on them a little bit. Like even Overwatch, I think, and even also Hearthstone had to start, and this was in Japan, but I think they just made it across the globe. They made it to list out what your chances are of getting certain items. There was this game that I played on iPhone for the longest time, because I was all super into Match 3 for the longest time. It was Marvel something or other, but it was basically a Match 3 game. It was bejeweled. Mm-hmm. But you had the same thing. You got loot crates. And that was the only way you could get new heroes and to power up your current heroes, was you get loot crates. Now, you would get them naturally throughout the game, but if you wanted to get them faster, here, spend $60. And maybe you'll get what you want. But even then, it would show you your likeliness of getting each, percentage-wise, getting each one of those items that you're specifically looking for. Until recently, Overwatch and the rest of those games didn't do that at all. But it had become a law, I think in Japan or China.
Both.
Both? Okay. So that you at least have to know what your chances are of getting that one thing. Which I think is okay. But I wish they would take it a couple steps further and say, this is fucking gambling.
The ESRB recently did a ruling on it where they said that loot boxes are not gambling. So I mean, like, as far as the law is concerned, it's open and shut now. So I mean, they've decided that they're not gambling. They're not going to be regulated. It is what it is. So loot boxes officially have the federal green light to continue. Now, I will tell you that Blizzard is actively has a lawsuit in place to prevent North America from allowing their numbers to go out. So so you're talking about like where they have like a 2% or 3% chance to have that happen. The Blizzard is attempting, to my understanding, to put in place legislation, or not legislation, but I mean, like, what would it even be, like an embargo on that information in North America? So like you can see it in Japan, and you can see it in Japan, you can see it in China, but they don't want you to see it in America.
Like, why though?
Because this is where their major player base is, and if you know what your chances are of getting this particular item, you're not going to spend $200 fucking in loot boxes trying to get that particular item. Because I mean, like if you look at it and you're like, I have like a 1.5% chance to get this Widowmaker skin that I really, really want because I love those fucking legs and that Tuchus is just enough for me to kill a man over. And I have a 1.5% chance to get it. I would actually probably be better off to go into my bedroom and then to just masturbate quietly to my Widowmaker pillow versus actually trying to spend the money to get the thing. Or I could take that money and buy another Widowmaker pillow and just rip up the one that I've got. So I mean, you could do better things with your money, and I think if you see your chances of getting the shit that you actually want, it makes you look at it and go, I can buy groceries tomorrow though. You know what I mean? Because like the thing about like Overwatch especially is this changes nothing about my enjoyment of the game beyond a cosmetic.
Right.
The character still plays the same, still functions the same, still acts the same, has the same, more or less the same voice lines depending on your skin. They kind of change.
Yeah.
But I mean, that it makes you really look at it and be like, is it worth me buying 100 loot boxes with a 1.5% chance of me getting this? Yeah, I mean, is it really worth it?
Yeah, you start doing the math in your head rather than just start buying shit randomly or blindly.
Yeah, because if there's no numbers on it, then you're like, well, I have a chance. I have a chance. So I mean, like it's the reality is you don't. I mean, you really don't have a chance.
No. To
get that. So I mean, it's frustrating that they're trying to go that route. I mean, I'm disappointed that Blizzard's decided to do that, but they did. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, you could boycott it, but you'll be left in the dust, really. I mean, that's unfortunately the way it is. You could sit there and say, I'm not going to do this. This is wrong. Fuck this. I'm gonna vote with my wallet. Well, you're going to get vetoed by the hundreds of thousands of millions of other people that don't give a shit and do have the disposable income, i.e. their parents' credit card. So... Right.
I mean, and that's what we're seeing. The thing is, though, that right now with the way that the trend that is going on with loot boxes, we are seeing the what I would like call like the final step, where we're gonna go right into talking about Battlefront 2, and Battlefront 2 is taking the concept of loot boxes and just like wrapping it up in a gilded dildo with pay to win, and the decisions that are being made there, I hope, make this game fucking fail unbelievably hard. Where you can buy the best items in the game are in loot boxes. And if you have money, you can buy the star cards and the equipment, and you can make your character virtually fucking invulnerable. I mean, and see, like in Overwatch, you can say, well, this shit's just cosmetic. And it is, and you're right. It is just cosmetic. You don't need to have it. But in Battlefront, it is affecting the way that the game actually functions.
Right.
So, like, I mean, for example, one of the star cards that you can get, and each one of them levels, and you have to get the loot boxes and pay to level these cards. It's not like you play the game and then the thing levels. You pay for them to level. So you can get level 4 cards for all these different slots for some of these heroes. And some of them are ridiculous. Like, Boba Fett has an ability called Death from Above, where he flies in the air and shoots fucking rockets in every direction. But he can get a card that makes him at level 4, makes him 100% invulnerable to damage while he's doing it. So he already has a high health pool to begin with, and now he's fucking unkillable.
Yeah.
And then he has another card. Yeah, then he has another card
to doing that.
Right, he has another card where at level 4 it gives him a 50% rate of fire increase. So his blaster is 50% fucking faster than it is to begin with. It's already an automatic blaster rifle. So I mean, like, you went from to. I mean, it does. I mean, it's pinpoint fucking accurate. I mean, it's unbelievable how fucking accurate this thing is. So I mean, like, across the map, because if it's the same way it was in Battlefront 1, there was a guy. Whenever I was playing it, a guy got Boba Fett. He wanted a fucking 92 player killing streak. He was killing fucking everyone, and the shit is so accurate, and it does so much damage, and it fires so fucking fast that he was killing people from across the goddamn map. And I'm like, what is this game?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what is happening right now? And it's just as egregious on the Starfighter side. You get the cards, you get like your let's just say like you get your Y-Wing. You get your Y-Wing, you get your level 4 card, you take 40% less damage overall. Then you get your other card. You get 100% health regeneration in your Starfighter. So you take 40% less damage. You do 100% health regeneration on top of a natural regeneration.
You don't die.
You just don't die. I mean, like, you're virtually fucking invulnerable. And it blows my mind that they're looking at this and being like,
that's
good decisions.
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you literally pay. So at day one, people are going that just bought the game for the enjoyment of playing multiplayer, having their Star Wars Battlefield experience, are going to get fucking ass raped by these people that are loaded up to the gills with all this money, and it's unbelievable because I'm all for, like, I'm not all for it. I don't like loot crates. I said that I don't really like them. I don't like the randomness. I would rather pay you for specific items in your store. But I understand that there are people that don't feel the same way that I do. They like the randomness. They like the endorphin rush whenever you get the chance for something really good to come out. You see that legendary, even if you already have it, it feels great to get it again. But then,
they have meetings for that, by the way.
Right. And I mean, I'm not into that. I would rather be like, I see it come up and I'm like, that's cool, but I also don't buy that shit. I mean, I don't pay for loot boxes. In Heroes, I buy the hero directly. I mean, like, I'll pay X amount of gems, I'll buy the hero directly. I don't want it to be random. Or I'll pay the gold or fucking whatever.
Right.
But again, all that shit's cosmetic. With the exception of buying heroes. But I mean, again, you can buy those directly.
Right. I mean, you can earn those actually.
Right. I mean, you can earn it through gold or whatever. I mean, but then, like, now in Battlefield, you are legitimately paying to have a market advantage over the other players.
It's not even really that, okay? It's not even that. Yes, it is, but you have to look at it more like this. If you don't give us more money, you're not going to be even with the people that have given us money. That means they've created a new baseline for their game, saying, we sold you this game, but it's going to be 100% shittier for you because you didn't give us more money. I mean, they did that in the first Battlefront. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, hey, you didn't pre-order and spend a little bit more.
That DL44.
Yep.
That thing hit like a fucking truck. I mean, I pre-ordered because I wanted to get the PlayStation 4. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll pre-order it, and because I wanted to get the Darth Vader PlayStation 4, and I got it.
Right.
And so then I played the game, and the fucking handgun does so goddamn much damage, and the recharge rate on it was virtually the heating thing on it was virtually non-existent. And so then you see everybody that's pre-ordered it, like, you see stormtroopers running around with a DL44. Everyone used it. It was a whole bunch of duelists, pow 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 pow, nonstop. Yeah. All you heard was that gun going off. Nobody used any of the base weapons. Nobody. I mean, that was one of the things where I'm like, did you need to put the most powerful weapon in the game as a pre-order bonus? And that was one of the things where I'm like, they said, oh, they're coming out with Battlefront 2, and I'm like, I'm concerned. Because I feel like their business practices aren't going to change any. No. I mean, like, because the first game looked beautiful. It didn't make any sense. It ran like shit. It was designed terribly. But it looked really good. It was the potential to be the Star Wars game that we wanted. It was nothing like what Battlefront players wanted, but the potential was there. Right. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is still nothing what players wanted, and now they've made it even worse. With the not only the pre-orders, but then with the loot boxes. And the best fucking items in the game are in goddamn loot boxes. So I mean, like, if you just buy like 50 fucking loot boxes, you can get potentially the best goddamn armor and weapons in the game. Yeah. So I mean, like, and here's the thing. So you're right. They've created a new baseline. So let's just say, like, you're getting your ass just literally shovel fed to you. And you're sick of it. So you spent, like, fuck it. I've spent $60 for this game, but I'm not enjoying it. I'm going to spend another $60. I'm going to get all these fucking loot boxes. And now you're on an even field with all these other assholes. I mean, you just effectively spent $120 fucking dollars on a game to literally have a chance to enjoy the product that you spent.
Yes, absolutely.
It makes you the difference between being like, TK1141 versus Delta Force fucking Alpha A over here.
Right.
I mean, like, I guess like for me, if I was the person who bought the base game, and I am in the trenches. I'm struggling. It's a fucking firefight, y'all. And I'm looking at this other guy next to me who looks just like me, is up on top of this thing, and he is just killing the shit out of everyone. And I'm watching him take shots to the face. Motherfucker just will not die. I'm like, why am I even playing this game?
Yeah,
why am I even here?
Can't even contribute.
Yeah, I mean, like, I stand up and I'm like, I get, ow, God, and then I'm in the trench. I mean, I can't stand up because they're more accurate because their guys are just like this asshole. So I mean, like, you have players who, because I mean, I always used to say, well, I always used to say, but like, you can always be able to tell like the people that play like free to play games that haven't spent any money on it. Like they got like the basic course, or they're really low level, or whatever. They didn't really invest a lot of time and effort into it. But then, even in Battlefield, you have like a guy who you can tell is relatively low, not just because of his level, but because he doesn't have all that much gear. Right. But, he can still just as easily kill you as everybody else can.
Yeah.
But in this case, with this, you're just cannon fodder.
Absolutely. You're basically just fodder. You're fish in a barrel for the people that actually spent a shit ton of money.
Yeah, and it blows my mind. I mean, it blows my mind that that's a decision that a game company that is attempting to produce a product that they intend people to play multiplayer, probably online, would make. Because now it's not even fun to watch, because you have a guy who, whenever like he rolls into a match, if he has 4 cards on everything, then you look at him and you think, did he earn those cards, or did he just buy them? And then it gives you the next question of, if he didn't earn them, if he did just buy them, or if he got them through loot boxes, is his victory counted as being a legitimate victory?
Right.
Should we praise him for skill that is? I mean, the skill very well could be there, but is it there though? Because is he just paying to have a market advantage over everybody else? Should we praise him for that? Should we even watch his content? Should we be saying, like, it doesn't matter how good you are, because you're never going to be at a point where you're good enough to outlast a Scorn for having cards that give you an advantage.
See, that's a lot like in Hearthstone. Hearthstone, if you're a free-to-play player and you can reach Legend, it's known as like some legendary feat. Like, just you don't ever hear about it happening, and when it does happen, it's such a huge fucking deal, because you're playing with inferior cards.
Yeah.
So if it does happen, damn, you must be really good at this to make your shitty cards, plow through these people that have, poured tons of money into the game. And that just depresses me.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be like, oh, once in a great while you get a guy that beats all the odds. It's, hey, the people that want to play this for free should be able to enjoy it just as much as the people that are fucking pouring money into it. And that's one of the things I loved about League of Legends until recently, was that, no matter how much money you spend on the game, you're just as good as anybody else.
Right, and that's what I love about Heroes, because it doesn't matter, because it is free. I mean, it's free in every way. I mean, if you want to buy cosmetic shit, great, fine. But they're going to give it to you along the way. Right. You get the gold. I mean, you don't pay for the gold. You get it through doing the quests and then playing and contributing and whatever. And I think that's great. I mean, if you want to buy a certain shit, you can buy it. I think that's a perfect system. I mean, because it's like there are individual things that you want. I want to pay for that. Fine. Whatever. But I mean, it doesn't mean anything more than that you bought something that you particularly liked.
Right.
But then that's why, like, I always felt that, even the new Battlefield is a superior game than, say, Battlefront. Because Battlefront, you buy these cards, and then it gives you a decided stat advantage in every way. But in Battlefield, you have the same potential equipment as everyone else, because you start out the exact same as everybody else. All the classes all have their own individual items, but then the amount that you play progresses, and you get different weapons and items that you can customize them as you see fit.
Right. But
your guns don't kill any less or slower than your opponents, or somebody who I don't even know if you can spend a bunch of money in Battlefield. I think you can still buy loot crates, but I mean, again, you get the same shit from just playing the fucking game and unlocking different shit.
Right.
So I mean, like, I guess, like, you know, for especially like Battlefield 1, I don't really know because I didn't play all that much. But 4 and 3, it was all strictly locked behind progression.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, if you didn't, you know, you could get stuff, you could progress in a class, and then you unlock your weapons that way. And I love that because, you know, that's just, I spend that much time. But I mean, just because, like, I have a 249 Bravo and you start off with a PK Chang, it doesn't mean that your gun's any shittier than mine. It's just different.
Right.
And that's perfect from a gameplay perspective. But I mean, now we're doing you spent $60, you bought the game, and then you spend another $60 on top of it. Now you got a bunch of loot crates, and you got like a shitload of level 4 cards. You know, you got the hero power up for Boba Fett, and now you are literally going to fist everyone on the map. And that sickens me. Hey, dude.
Yeah, no,
so
it goes,
just the idea of it is infuriating.
It goes back to the freaking Penny Arcade comic, the one that says, pretty soon we're gonna. This was made like 15 years ago. The comic. It basically says, pretty soon we're gonna have it to where the damage you deal is directly related to the amount of money you spent. Every swipe of the card is like a swipe of your sword. Damage shown by the amount of dollars you spent.
Pretty much. I mean, and that's almost 100% accurate to this particular subject with especially with Battlefront. And I think, you know, that the thing that scares me about Battlefront is the same thing that I said scared me about the election, is that we're setting a new precedent where we have lowered the bar so far that we are setting a dangerous trend for going forward.
Yeah.
So I mean, especially like, I mean, God forbid. I mean, like, I don't like to wish poorly of companies. I mean, not so much like, I don't mean like the publisher. I mean like DICE, because DICE, they've made a great game for what they were bidden to do.
Yeah.
I'll give credit where credit's due. The game looks fucking phenomenal. The game looks phenomenal. It runs phenomenal. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen the footage. It looks good. It looks interesting. The story sounds good. You know, everything about the game looks and is presented very well. But the business model makes it so that I want this game to tank. I want this game to fucking suck. And I want no one to buy it.
Right.
Because I don't want this game to be rewarded for that kind of an abusive system. Because going forward, you're going to see it all the fucking time.
I mean, we already are, and that's the thing. I think this is pretty much the peak of how bad it's gotten. I mean, it's been pretty bad. I mean, they've been dancing with the threshold of immoral when it comes to business practices. I mean, up until now, and there have been some exceptions to my statement here, but up until now, it's been primarily cosmetic, which you can debate on whether you want it or not. It's still that gambling feel, but in the end, it doesn't affect the gameplay. Now we're dancing with, well, it might. I mean, it'll give you a little bit of an advantage. And now it's just like, if you don't buy this, your game is shit. You might as well not even buy the game at all. Right.
I mean, because you're just going to sit there and die. Yeah. I mean, Battlefront and Battlefield are difficult enough because, you know, you've got 32 players on both sides shooting the shit out of each other. There's lasers and fucking bombs and rockets and other kind of shit flying in every direction. Just standing up is a perilous enough prospect all on its own, let alone giving everyone else. You've got a handgun with 5 bullets that may or may not fire, and everyone else has like fucking full Kevlar and a goddamn LMG, and they're ready to lay waste to the countryside. I mean, that's what it feels like going into this fight. So if I bought that game and I went into it, I know that, like, I mean, my skill, that's the thing. So you go into it and you buy the game, you start playing the game. When you die, do you sit there and berate yourself being like, man, I got to get better? Or do you going to sit there and be like, you know, does it even matter? You know, you die and then you're like, you die and you're like, okay, because, I mean, and then you look at the guy and you're like, well, yeah, I probably would have. You know, because this guy's got fucking level 4 everything. And then day one, he's running around, he's murdering everybody in on all the trenches, and nobody can stop him because he's got fucking level 4 and everything.
Right.
So, I mean, of course you're going to die. I mean, and then at that point, it's like, do I just stand up and, because I mean, like in Battlefront 1, when somebody would get Boba Fett or Han Solo or one of the heroes, it was literally just the entire team would just stand up and just rush him. And there's no tactical, there was no strategy, there was no, I mean, and it was never one of those like, hey, you turn around the corner and Boba Fett's there, and then you take some shots and he has to take cover. He just stand in the middle of the open. He doesn't need to fucking hide. He just mow everybody down.
Right.
And you would have to throw your entire team at him long enough to deplete his health pool. Now you've made it so he's fucking invulnerable. So, okay, now literally whoever becomes Boba Fett first wins. So Boba Fett, I mean, Han Solo on the side, Boba Fett on the side. But I mean, Boba Fett has a market advantage because he has more attacks, more guns. He has fucking rockets and shit. Yeah. I mean, he is the hero to get.
Yeah.
I mean, even fucking Darth Vader doesn't matter. Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, they put these characters in there with lightsabers and no one gives a shit about them.
Right.
Because like if you're not playing fucking Boba Fett, then you might as well not even have a hero.
Sad, man. Dude, they freaking... So, why was it so better on the original Xbox with Battlefront 2? Like, that game was a masterpiece.
They did, because they did it right. I mean, because they did combined arms in a Star Wars setting. It was Battlefield, Star Wars shit. They didn't try to make it so like it was streamlined. They didn't try to make it so this side versus this side, and then there's this narrow-ass little valley, and you guys got to fight. And they didn't try to make it super gimmicky. There were control points, and your army spawned there, and their army spawned there, and you guys fought. Here's your weapons. Here's your fucking vehicles. Here's your planes. They're all from the fucking movies. They're you jump in them. They all do the exact same shit that they did in the movies. They move the same way. You get your heroes, and they're powerful, but they're not overly powerful.
Right.
Like your Jedi can block shots, but they were meant to be temporary. They weren't meant to be this like where like it was one of those things where like somebody got to be Mace Windu, and it wasn't that he was going to single-handedly turn the fucking tide of the battle. It was that whenever you're fighting, holy shit, that's Mace Windu. That's awesome. Yeah, and then you Mace Windu, and you keep fighting, and it was cool. So you get to see these heroes in these different fields, and it was just something that was neat. But now, everybody's so packed together that you have where the vehicles, they don't fucking matter. And if you have a vehicle, it's going to just smash everyone to pieces. The environment doesn't really matter. It's just a really like close together maze. It doesn't feel like there's ever any battlefield elements. And then one of the things that was the greatest about the original Battlefront was the transition from space to indoors.
Yeah.
Where you had like the major battles in Coruscant, where you had your guys who were primarily only in fighters fighting guys who were in fighters, and then you had people spawning in Star Destroyers to get into a little skiff, and then they would all load up, and then your starfighters would have to protect you while you drove that battalion and dropped it in the other Star Destroyer. And then you had to try to take points there, and then that would start blowing up sections of that ship. Yeah, I mean, like awesome. The transition where like you actually had like it was like having multiple maps in one confined, and not one confined space, but in one map. So you had like the Star Destroyer, and then you had the battle cruiser, and they would shoot at each other. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like they were actively trying to damage each other at the same time, and I think that's wonderful. I mean, the way that they did the maps in that game, I was like, oh my god, it's fantastic. But then now you have this one, and that's what people were asking for: the transition from Star Wars shit to ground shit, and big open maps where people could fight, and there's a whole bunch of fucking people. There's no reason at this day and age where 64 people is your maximum.
Yeah,
I mean that shit makes me insane. I hate seeing a 64 person maximum because. PlanetSide, really. I mean, big fucking huge open maps, 10,000 people on both sides, just skull fucking each other to death. Yeah. And it's a great experience. That sounds weird to say, but it is still a great experience. But I mean, you could do this in a Star Wars setting. So I mean, like even if you raise the cap to like I don't know, like 140 people, I mean that's 70 people on both sides. I mean, like that would be a fantastic tactical experience because like they've got commander positions, you got tanks, you got your starfighters fighting each other and providing ground support, because that was the whole purpose about having the planes in Battlefield to begin with, is that they were basically supposed to fight each other. Or if one of them got down, the time they was taking the other plane to come back up to try to take you out, you were bombing the shit out of people that were on the ground. So the whole purpose of having that was to fight each other.
Yeah,
and so I mean it's the same thing in the original Battlefront, where like you had the planes flying overhead, they start shooting at each other, and the one of them goes down, and they shoot at people on the ground, and that's how the new Battlefront was supposed to be, but the fucking shit flies so fast that it's almost pointless to try to shoot people on the ground.
Right.
Because I mean, you drive by, you're like pow pow, and then you're gone. And so I'm like, you fire 2 shots, and there's people on the ground are like, oh, we're fine. I mean, nothing meant nothing. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, Dave might have just been turned into space dust, but I'm all right, so it's fine.
Hi, Carly. Yeah, no, that was what I was hoping for. I mean, when I saw the previews for Battlefront 2, I immediately thought of the old Battlefront 2. I'm like, yes, please. You understood that people fucking hate Battlefront 1, and you're gonna do it right this time. Lol, not really. Give me money.
just kidding. I mean, it literally. I mean, I was kind of the same way because like the way they presented the trailer, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be totally different this time. Nope, it looks just the same, different environments, and it still looks spiffy as shit. It's the exact same game. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. High fives on the way out to the ATM to try to be able to pay to play this game.
Moral of the story is that there's no moral. I mean, we're never gonna get our way.
No, I mean,
this is how the transition has happened. This is how far we've come. We've regressed to this shit pile. I mean, you look at the old game, old days of gaming, and you fucking spend, $40-50, and you get the full game. Like, even Street Fighter back in the day had expansions and shit. Like, you had Street Fighter 2, Hyper Fighting, Super Street Fighter 2, and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, all that shit. And they were all, like, full games, but one was a slight improvement over the other, usually. It's just, wait a while. I mean, go play at your friend's house. He already bought the game. He was stupid. He kind of jumped the gun. But if you just wait a while, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting is going to come out, and then you'll have everything. Yeah. You can just wait a while. But games now, it's just like, it's become a money grab at every single turn. Like, and just like you said earlier, I mean, I'm sure that they had the best intention. The developers were basically saying, look, this game is going to be awesome. And then the fucking business guys in the boardroom was like, all right, I know we're charging $60 for this, but how can we charge more?
Yeah, how can we beat just a little bit more money out of the player base? And
we want
not, I mean, when you start looking at your players or the people who are purchasing your full retail product, less like a consumer and more like a piñata, then you have to start really reconsidering what you're doing. And then, I mean, but I would also say the consumer needs to be more concerned about the way that they are treated.
Right.
Which is why, I wish people would, as they say, vote with your wallet. Don't buy Battlefront. Don't buy Shadow of War. Shadow of War is less egregious because, again, like, it's been sort of like proven that like you get like a ton of shit anyway. Yeah. But I mean, in the case of Battlefront, it is literally empowering a select few people who are willing to pay more money to have a substantial advantage over everyone else. People need, as a consumer, you need to not purchase this product. And that is the only way that EA or I think it's EA is going to know you have done wrong. You have wronged your audience. Your core group of people who are going to play this game and make it successful and push it to the limit are the people that you have alienated by making it really fucking expensive and then making us have to pay on top of it.
Yeah.
And I wish that they would learn that, but they're never going to.
There are alternatives out there. I mean, there are plenty of games out there that don't do that shit. You just don't hear about them as much because they don't have the budget to fucking advertise like, I don't know, EA or DICE or any of these fucking companies. Right. I mean, you look at fucking what's it called? I mean, Doom wasn't that way. But then again,
PlanetSide 2. PlanetSide 2, because if you're talking about like a big combined arms game, PlanetSide 2 is still like, it should be like everyone's go-to game.
Yeah.
Because there is no player limitation, and there's a ton of fucking stuff to do. I mean, you have individual roles, but then you also have like vehicle roles, and there's the cosmetics. Anything that you want in a giant combined arms FPS, you can get in PlanetSide, and you can get it for free. You can play the game from start to finish for free. Every weapon is different, but not markedly overpowered versus another weapon.
Right.
So, like, I mean, you have like the sniper rifle that can punch your ticket at fucking like 1,000 meters. Sure, a headshot will kill you no matter where the fuck you are if you have another sniper rifle of even inferior quality. But if you hit that person that's trying to snipe other people in the head, because I mean, Kyle's done this. Kyle was our sniper whenever we were doing that. He was our scout and our sniper, so he would tell us where shit was, and he would be cloaked, and he would counter snipe whenever we needed him to, and he would mark targets for us, and he would let us know when shit was coming in. So, I mean, there's a guy who was like fucking battle level like fucking 450 or some ridiculous shit, and Kyle was keeping him dead with the standard cheap ass sniper rifle.
Right.
I mean, but even though the other guy, he had a one-hitter quitter sniper rifle, it was slow as hell, and he would take the shot, miss Kyle killed him. So, I mean, and that's how it should be, where it's a different weapon, but it's not necessarily a better weapon.
Right. It just suits a different playstyle.
Right.
But, I mean, you look at a game like, not quite the same, but a game like Titanfall, for example. Especially Titanfall 2 that just recently came out in the last 6 months. Fantastic game. Brilliant. I mean, storyline is amazing. The online multiplayer, awesome. They don't even make mention of loot crates or anything else other than the game that you bought.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's so unheard of nowadays. But you buy a $40 game, that's the game. And the thing is it's on Origin. Which
that's his problem.
Which is, yeah, that's the biggest problem. But I mean, they made a fantastic game. They didn't have to gouge you. They said, hey, this is a great game. You'll play it because it's a good game. We don't have to sell you any more shit than that. And it won Game of the Year and all this other shit, all these other awards, and people play it like crazy. But it's kind of faded off into, the shadows because these other big games came out. I mean, that people got bored of it eventually. But just play it more. Just wait. Just wait until they make another game just like that. You can't.
I remember whenever that one came out, Battlefield 1 came out at the exact same time. And I was so enamored with the idea of a World War I Battlefield that I was like, yes, I want that. I mean, the game looked great, and I totally. I mean, I don't know if I'd say bought into the hype, but I bought into the idea of it, and then until I actually played it, and I was like, oh, it's Battlefield. I mean, it's just like Battlefield 4. I mean, it's legitimately the same thing. Nobody uses a fucking bolt action. There's bolt action 0.
Right.
I mean, and nobody uses the goddamn horse except for like very infrequently. And the one or two times I have seen somebody get on the horse, I mean, like, gets raked with machine gun fire.
Yep.
I mean, you see these fucking support guys hoofing it with a Browning automatic rifle that is, I don't know, probably about 80, 90 pounds. If we're being real, but I mean, they're no big deal, just running with it and then firing from the hip as they're going. And I'm like, that's just so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
That made me crazy. And then you have like the snipers. When they said that there were going to be snipers, I imagined rifle, scope. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with the bullet drop and then the distance and then whatever. It's not. It's the rifle and then it's a scope. And there's an experimental rangefinder, and I'm like, "This is World War I, yo." I'm like, that's not a thing. So I don't know what the fuck that is, and I'm like, why? I don't understand. I mean, I had a feeling they were gonna do it, but like a lot of like the weapons in that game are all super highly experimental, and I wish that they wouldn't have done that. It was like I played. I know this is tangent. Sorry, but like they made a History Channel Civil War game. It was a first-person shooter Civil War game. I'm like, I love the idea of that. First fucking level's Antietam, and I'm like, fuck yeah. So you get your rifle, and there's a bunch of guys, bang. They're still alive. You're like, oh shit, everybody missed. So I mean, like and that was the first level. You're still using muzzleloader. So I'm like, I love this because everything else was bayonet charge, and you had to fight in the trenches. It was wonderful. And then the next level. You have a Lamat pistol, which didn't come out until after the war, and you had a Henry repeater, which didn't come out until after the war. I'm like,
okay.
This is a History Channel. This is a game from the History Channel. So I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? I don't understand. And that was the exact same feeling that I had whenever I was playing Battlefield 1, where I'm like, none of this shit existed. I mean, yeah, it existed, but I mean, it was like there was like maybe 2 in the world, but every one of these assholes has one. Yeah. So I mean, like, no.
I'm with you. I mean, I'm all for, if you're a game priding yourself on freaking, you know, historical accuracy, come on, just come on. You gotta at least try. I mean, I can understand. Oh man, we're a couple years off on that one. Okay, but dude, come on.
You're just a little bit more than a couple. I mean, you know, it's yeah. I'm not a fan of that. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I think we've machine gunned that dead horse.
Oh, dude. I mean, I had to. I'm sorry. You brought up Titanfall. Like I said, it came at the exact same time. So I mean, and that's why I ended up picking Battlefield 1 over Titanfall. And I mean, in retrospect, I kind of wish I'd have picked up Titanfall. So
it is the superior game.
Turns out.
It's not too late. It's still a good game.
I know, but I have too much time to do other things.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, please rate, comment, subscribe. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Visit our website at the www.dastardlygentleman.com. We got all sorts of things going on over there. And for those of us that are in the Dastardly Gentlemen, feel free to look at that too, and we could still add more shit there, you know? I mean, come on. Just let me know what you think. Yeah. So, I'm trying to say this as outro. Gosh. Anyways, look, we didn't hear from anybody from last week to this week, and I just want you to know, I'm really disappointed in you guys.
I'm sure that means a lot.
I mean, I thought you were better.
Sorry, Dad. I'll do better.
Is that my outro music? All right. There we go. So anyways, please let us know. Please feedback us. We need it. We need to know that you're watching and listening, because I know that you are. I see the stats.
That's cheating.
I know where you're from, too.
You're not supposed to let them know.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. This is like Domino's.
Yep.
Caller ID, baby. You're over there on the corner of Jamaica and blah, blah, blah.
Caller ID, bitch. I don't know who the fuck you is.
Alright, guys. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
I'm never gonna dance again. Get defeated, got no rhythm. Dude, Careless Whisper, how do you not know this fucking song, Neil? One up the good fuck, yeah. Look at this photograph. Every time I do it makes me